Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of In Studio. Today we have special guest, Vanessa Kirby. How are you?
I'm good, I'm quite jet lagged, but
you were just telling me you were jet lagged.
Yeah.
What is the time difference again?
It's 8 hours in London ahead, but it's 16 hours in Sydney, and we were just in Sydney.
You were just in Sydney?
Yeah, just being wheeled out doing mad press. I honestly lost my mind, and I forgot what I said to who.
Yeah.
So I think I might have repeated myself with the same person quite a lot.
First off, I want to start off by telling you I'm Team Princess Margaret and Peter Townsend, just like the public was back then. Before we jump into season 2, in telling their story in season 1, how familiar were you with their story?
Knew nothing.
Okay.
I didn't even know his name.
Okay.
I didn't even know it happened. Is that terrible?
I mean, I didn't know it happened.
Do you know what I mean? I actually got so attached to them that I was doing a play just after I finished that season, and someone in the cast went, "Oh my god, my dad has a letter for some reason. I can't remember quite the link that Peter had written to Margaret, and she brought it in. And I had it in my hands, and I was really emotional. So I love them.
Yeah.
And they're so sweet. And reading his autobiography killed me. Just how much he loved her, and I think they really, really did." Really love each other, so it's so tragic, and I'm actually really proud that it's kind of in the public memory. Did I repeat myself?
Not yet. What do you think it was about their, I guess, forbidden love story back then, where the public was for them, and why fans watching the series who had no idea about it are in favor of them as well?
Because it's
I'm speaking for everyone.
I mean, you guys, everyone. Yeah, some people want me anti it. Maybe? Do you think? I think some people thought he was too boring for her.
I guess so.
Too stable, you know, like a father figure type. I don't know. I heard some things about. I mean, a lot of
back then.
In her circle, and always thought she should be with. But I love that actually. I love that she went for somebody. I really noticed it actually when we were at all the family occasions, like filming the coronation and the wedding and the funerals and stuff. Claire and Matt always had their little sidekicks, you know, Philip and Elizabeth, and mine was like 5 rows back, in the middle of all the extras, like away from, you know, they were always in the back with the guests. You know, he was always there, we were never a unit. And I just thought, she still fought for it. She still waited. She must have really loved him. I think the fact that he was almost like an underdog, but also that she wasn't allowed to do it. I think I've definitely felt so
It's so heartbreaking.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's
what, just because he's married someone else before? Can you imagine? Legally, not because of love. It makes me really angry. I was angry, and I actually I love it when people get angry with me, because they've watched it. I felt really pleased. Team Margs. Yeah.
Now it's interesting because a lot of people are like afraid to spoil shows, but all of this really happened. So when you see people in the public and fans of the show, what are those interactions like?
Well, firstly, I never ever get recognised, so I never meet any fans.
Okay.
No, I just
do you like that though? Like not getting recognized?
Yeah. I mean, I'm honest. I'd never. Once in a Spanish supermarket. Once. Which is weird.
What did they say to you?
I don't know, because she said it in Spanish. But then she said Margaret. I mean, she could have thought I was like a long-lost cousin or something. Anyway, she took a picture. Most of the time, people connect with it, and we never expected it. And what's been really amazing is the amount of how kind of universally it's received. It's been in the sense of, I think it's because it's about human beings in this family that are in a really weird set of circumstances, as opposed to, oh, it's a comment on class, or either glorifying them or being really critical of them. It's sort of like, wow, let's look at this family that we don't know about, lived through some quite brutal things that you wouldn't expect.
Now, you grew up in London. Was the fascination for the royal family, like growing up, was that always around you, or is that an outside kind of thing?
Boring.
Yeah. But
yeah, I'm glad in a way that it's sort of like revived an interest in them, because I think, you know, the Queen's been around for so long that you just never. She's part of the furniture. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, that's just the Queen on the front page of the newspaper, but like, what's she doing now? Shaking someone's hand. But to remember her as a 25-year-old girl that, you know, whose father had a terminal illness and she didn't know about it, died very suddenly, and then had to take on this weird duty. Yeah, when you don't want it.
Another thing I found out and when researching is that Princess Margaret is no longer alive.
Someone else in the interview the other day, like, how do you think she feels about it? And I was like, oh, how do I bring this up?
Do people ask that? Because I know Claire gets that a lot. Like, have you heard from the Queen or the family? But you can't hear from her because she's not around.
hey, what, Margaret? I know, no,
Princess
I can
Margaret,
hear her being
yeah.
livid, like rolling in the grave. No, I don't. I'm sure she'd be very withering about it, no matter what. Oh, I wouldn't ever do that.
Really?
Yeah, I can imagine so. She has such a dry
It's very
humour.
Margaret of her, yeah.
Yeah, someone was like, would you like to sit next to a dinner party? I was like, I would love to, but I think I'd be terrified. I really think I'd be terrified.
One thing I know you've talked about before, and Claire has talked about, is kind of nailing the posh accent, because it's quite different. And Claire mentioned saying, especially the word one, and she said she had to say it repeatedly after every take. Was there a word that you kind of had to practice extra? Or?
It was sort of, because she says,
because Margaret has quite good, like quite powerful lines throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have to try and always like, well, she says one, so that's
one,
why, because she's from Manchester, but I don't say that, so I never did the one thing.
Okay.
But we did all fall into this weird habit of all speaking in it on set.
Yeah.
It must have pissed the crew off so much.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'd walk onto set and I'd have to start speaking like this. And saying things like, actually, you know, making sure you don't say the Y on the end.
Yeah.
And things like ground, is the O, is the crown, instead of, I got nailed for that all the time. Crown. Because we said the crown, did you know, and the you, things like that. Blah.
That's great. No, in season 2, where we first see Margaret, she's kind of rolling out of bed, talking to Elizabeth, and she meets up with Elizabeth. Elizabeth points out that she's still drunk from the night before. Do you think it is that sorrow that has carried over into season 2, and can you talk about kind of capturing that?
Definitely, because I mean, literally the last time you see her in season 1, she's saying, and Peter on the Day actually rewrote those lines. She says something
I'll
like,
never forgive her. Well, she says that today.
Oh yeah, that's the last line. Oh my god, no, but the show better than me. The one before that, you know, when she says to Elizabeth, when she says you can't marry Peter, and she says, but don't you understand? I'm lost without him. I'm unhinged. I'm flailing about, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So to actually say to your sister, I'm scared of being unhinged. I have potential to be unhinged. Yeah. And admitting that felt like the sort of the beginning, the foundation of where we started season 2. And actually it was really exciting to play, because I always knew Margaret had it in her, so it was amazing to have the opportunity to really, at least for a little bit in episode 4, really explore her darkness and where her psyche can go, and also trying to recover from that.
Speaking of episode 4, it was a great episode for you, but it was also, it did touch on the carrying of her sorrow and kind of the darkness, and she rushes into this engagement with this awful Billy, isn't it?
Billy Wallace,
but Elizabeth approved of him. Can you kind of talk about that episode, and then you do meet Anthony and kind of that journey for Margaret?
Yeah. So I really had to understand why she would get engaged to somebody like Billy Wallace. Like I spent ages trying to get my head around.
I was like,
what the hell?
And then I googled it. I was like, did this really happen?
Yeah, it happened, right? And so, like, realistically trying to find, I mean, you literally just laughed in like disbelief.
Because it happened rather quickly, but I think that was just because
it did. She just did it, right? So when I was like, so it happened. But if you wrote it, you'd be like, well, that wouldn't happen. So the fact that it did, I really had to try and find the realism behind it. But I think what I thought was, okay, so this is somebody that has pushed so hard against the establishment to do something different, to break the rules, to do something, and didn't succeed, having waited. He's been banished. I mean, horrendous. And then she goes, okay, right, fine, one last try, I'm going to try and go with the establishment. I'm just going to, this is who I am. I didn't give up my title and privileges. I'm going to go with somebody that's aristocratic and my family approve of. And it backfires so horribly. After that, she's like, I'm done with this. And I think in her heart, like, she's always wanted, she's so essentially royal, like the grandest of everybody, and yet she also doesn't want to be it at all. So fighting that identity within herself, suddenly Tony comes along and represents this whole other part of, unexplored part of her, which is dangerous and really rebellious and sexy and sort of electric, and he represents this kind of rogue rebellion, swinging 60s London, that she just goes like, oh my god, maybe this is the answer. So it was also quite an interesting thing.
And then it ends up not being the answer.
Well, of course not. But, you know, I was hoping in a way in my head, I was like, maybe it's like this.
Yeah, but then I looked it up, it didn't.
Yeah, didn't. I know. Like, you know, in Jack and the Titanic, I was like, he's not going to die this time.
Gonna,
just, I know he's not. But, you know, I really wanted it to be the sort of Romeo and Juliet thing. I always kept saying that to Ben, the director. I was like, yes, I'm so happy she's got someone just because I love her and I really want her to. And Ben's like, it's not what you... And actually, I realised that she's meeting him when she's probably in like the most painful place of her life, and so is he, as we see with his mum. And so you get two people meeting with their wounds really open, and how does that start and why? And you know, I think a really telling moment is when Peter says he's going to remarry, which killed me on the day. I hated reading that letter. But the fact that she straight away says, I need to marry Tony, I need to do it quickly, I need to do it now. So, you know, it's not the salvation that she's looking for. And yeah, just Wikipedia it, we know how it ends. I heard he used to read, like, later on, this is for the actress that gets to do it next, he left notes around her house saying, I hate you. Oh, can you imagine? Yeah.
Are you kind of happy you don't have to be part of that storyline of showing the divorce in the next season?
No,
or
I'd love
you
to.
Want to be part of it?
I was really hoping there'd be some massive blowout argument. I could smash some plates, like throw things at him. And I said to Peter, I was like, are you sure? Not even in episode 10? He was like, no, that's the next chapter. So we had to try and set up the relationship for someone to be able to really go there, which is going to be so fun.
Now, I know Olivia Colman is playing Queen Elizabeth. Who is playing Princess Margaret? Do you know yet, or can you say?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I literally don't know. I don't think they know yet.
Okay.
I think they're talking to people, but I had lunch with Peter Morgan recently. I was like, so, can you...
Give you a hint?
Like, I won't not. He was like, no, because you'll tell everyone.
No.
And I would. So he's actually done himself
like
great service. I would literally be like, I'd have to. I can't ever keep anything, as you can probably tell.
I mean, who do you want to take over those shoes?
I don't know that either.
Really?
I've never even thought. No.
Yeah.
Because if you did,
I'm
either way,
trying to think of who,
and said it, you know, said it to everyone, and then it's someone not like that, and then I just leave that to Nina Gold, because Nina Gold is so incredible. I just trust her completely. Who do you think? I think of anyone. Exactly, it's really hard though, right?
Tough, yeah. Do you watch the episodes now, and then do you plan on watching it when you're not on the show? And what do you plan on watching the future seasons?
Yeah, I think definitely, because it'll be. I'm sure it'll be all the same crew, same directors, and it's going to be really lovely to watch how it evolves. And I think it was always a sort of like, it felt like we had no idea how it would be received. No. We had no idea whether it would turn out, whether it would be like the worst thing ever or something quite good, or whether like my granny would like it and no one else. You know, we had literally no idea. And what I feel like Peter's really great at, he does push things. It's like, at the time we didn't know, I remember him being like, I don't think anyone's going to watch this because the election, it's 4 days before, like no, everyone's going to be depressed and no one's going to want to watch this show. And so we didn't, so I suppose it's always an unknown, and I suppose recasting everybody is an unknown thing, but really brave and bold and cool and innovative. And so I'll be watching it to see how, I guess, what it requires you to do is suspend your disbelief. Yeah. And I suppose it does anyway, doesn't it? Because it goes, okay, you guys have to try and just pretend to yourself that we are actually the royal family in this 10 hours of vision, which we're clearly not.
No, I know Peter has always had an intent for this series and a vision for it. Do you see it lasting as long as the modern day royal family? And do you see Prince Harry and Meghan Markle
being in it?
And
I think so. I think it will get
so
up to
do
that
I,
point.
which is, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think Peter has said that, or indicated slightly, but mad to think of it. Like, who's going to play Trump and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. What about what's going on with Mission Impossible 6? What excited you most about the project right when you joined?
Just how different it was to everything I've done, and I've never done an action movie, my God, and like it required a lot of physical training that I was like really bad to be. I mean, the first time I went out with a trainer, it was in Paris, and I was worse than I thought I was. I mean, I was literally like, I was always last in running race anyway at school, so like I was trailing behind her, like wheezing. Really? But it was cool, kind of pushing yourself in that way. And watching someone like Tom, who's like so professional and so on it and so committed and so lovely to everybody. It was like it was a completely different set going in and getting sort of in that whole world. It was just utterly different than going home and filming at the same time The Crown, which is just Now, because it's Mission Impossible 6, it's obviously not a surprise, but your character has a lot of action scenes, so you just revealed something exciting for fans. That was a good tidbit. Was it? Yeah. Was it? So. At least it was something. You have a knife and you have a lot of action scenes at Tom. Well, yeah. And you trained a lot, yeah. So what do you want to say to fans before we go? Just I really hope you like the second season, and yeah. And did you just join Twitter? Because you haven't tweeted yet. No, I don't do Twitter. I do Instagram.
You don't Twitter, okay.
Yeah, I just don't have it. I never know what to say in 160. I either have way too
It's
much
tough,
or nothing. Do you know what I mean?
It's tough.
And so I just post silly pictures, mainly of Margaret. I'm really obsessed. Do you know what? Maybe like my whole career, I'll just post pictures of Margaret.
That's a great...
I think that's going to happen. Like, I'm worried. Like, I said the other day I was a Margaret pervert, and I definitely am. Is that wrong?
I don't know. You know it. No, I don't
you?
think so. No.
No. Oh, horrifying.
No.
I mean, yeah. So, bless her. Love you.
Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.